Well, hello, I'm Terry Farnham. I'm a speech language pathologist who, for about 15 years, has been implementing the complexity or learnability approach developed by Garrett and colleagues in Bloomington, Indiana. And today I'm going to show you one of the activities I use in my workshops and with children to help them practice their sounds in maximal contrast pairs. The name of the activity is Say It and Move It, and it is based on an activity from this book, Road to the Code, which is a phonemic awareness program by Blockman, Ball, Black, and Tangle. And it's designed to give children the foundational skills that they need to learn to read. We know that our kids with severe phonologic problems are going to be at high risk for becoming poor readers. And so if we can build some early literacy tasks into our therapy, that really is helpful. So we're going to talk about how to do this activity called Say It and Move It. It has a couple of essential pieces. The first is this. It's a piece of paper with a shape, a line, and a dot and an arrow. That is all you need. Now in Road to the Code, there's different shapes for different kinds of things. We're just using it as a container for the other thing that you need, which is markers of some kind. What I really like to use are these wonderful little glass things that you can buy at party stores that you scatter on tables at weddings and that sort of thing. They are interesting to children because they don't usually get to play with them. They slide easily, which is helpful, and you can buy a bag with a whole bunch of different colors in it, and every child can pick the colors they want, or you can tell them what colors they're going to use, and you have enough for everybody. The first thing I want to say about this is what we're talking about is a unison activity. Every child at the table and the SLP has a piece of paper and some markers. We're going to do it together. We're going to say the sounds together. We're going to practice the words together in unison. I'm not worried about collecting data at that point, although, we have really keen ears and we can tune into what the kids are saying around the table. Anyway, here we go with Say It and Move It. Okay, here we are all set up for Say It and Move It. We're going to be working with CVC words, so I have 3 of the same color for our first word, and then I have one that we need and a spare just in case, because sometimes the substituted sound ends up being a cluster or something like that, so I want to be sure I have enough markers for each sound in the word. Here's our first pair. This is from one of my pair sets, TH and R contrasts, that are at Teachers Pay Teachers, Clarity SLP. This word is thick and Rick. So we're talking about a THR contrast. And so here we go. This is what we're going to do together. Every student has this set up and I have this set up. And we're all going to say the sounds in thick, which is our first word. K. Let's tap them and say it. Now, I don't do this always, but in the beginning, this sound segmentation task is really hard. And if you've got a couple of kids working at the table, probably somebody's been lagging behind and really has kind of lost the thread of what we're doing. So we're going to, when everybody has their markers lined up on the line, we're going to say them. Again, we're going to tap and say. Okay, tap and say it with me. K. Now, let's put that word back together. Put our finger on the dot, and we slide the word together. Thick. That's it. That's the activity. The basic activity from Road to the Code. Now, what we're going to do for speech is, and for our maximal contrast pairs, is we're going to take off the and that's what I say to the children. Everybody take off your we say it as we slide it back, and then we're going to put on an Now, what's the word? Tap it and say it with me. Now let's blend it together. Put your finger on the dot. Rick. Very nice. Now in the beginning, most children aren't able to blend it back together, and so we just stick at the tapping level, and when we get to blending it back together, I say, oh, well, I hear, maybe the W sneaking in or the F for TH, something like that. I'm going to say it. I'm going to put it together for you. You just listen. And that comes down. That's like throwing down the gauntlet. The kid wants to do it, and so he's going to work much harder the next time to get them blended together so he can do it too. Okay, so that was Thick and Rick. Now let's try one with a final consonant. Contrast. We know that deletion is a very serious error, and lots of our kids with phonologic problems do it, and it's often in the final position. So here I have a contrast between O, which is a voice sonorant, alveolar, and th, which is a voiceless fricative, interdental. Maximal contrast between the two. So rule and Ruth. Let's see if we can do those. Let's do rule. Ooh, all, and we're all saying it together. Let's tap them and say it. Ooh, all. Now let's slide it together. Rule. And maybe they'll get it, maybe they won't, but you can always go back and tap it again. Then we're going to take off the all. So it's at the other end of the word. If you've been working on initial consonants, hard to make that switch, but very essential for kids who are deleting in the final position. So we're going to take off the all and put on a, can you slide it and say it? Everybody has their diagram, and everybody slides it and says it. Now let's tap them and say it. Ooh, ooh. What's the word? Let's slide it together and see if we can hear it. Ruth. That's right. Rule, Ruth. And then we say the word together. That is the activity. Now, the cool thing about Say It and Move It is that you can change it. And little kids think they've got a whole brand new activity. You start with something simple like this. We know it's about speech. We're here to talk. That's what we're going to do. But things start, this is tough. We got to keep them motivated. So the next time, maybe you've been to the Ellison machine and you've punched out some apples, and maybe there's different colors. And these I glued on, stapled, or laminated rather, and have the lines on there, nice permanent thing. And the markers slide really easy on laminate. Later in the fall, when the leaves start to turn, then maybe we'll do leaves. Maybe later a pumpkin. Or a turkey. When it gets to be Valentine's, you can do a heart. You could do a snowflake. You can do a star, sunshine, whatever you want. But the cool thing is that they're like, oh, today we get to do the snowman. And it's a whole new game, but they know how to do it. And it just motivates them to be as good as they can be at the Say It and Move It segmentation and blending activity. Very important skill for them to have for reading, and also a great way to practice those contrast pairs. You're getting practice in isolation, and then you're getting practice comparing one word to the other. When you take off the initial sound, put a new initial sound, take off the final sound, put a new final sound, whatever position you're working in, gives them lots of practice. And they don't even know they're practicing. And it's unison practice, so everybody is getting to practice. We're not taking turns. Everybody's doing it together. Now, I might stop and say, oh, I heard a f over there. Everybody needs to stick out their tongue. Let's try it again. That kind of thing is going to go on. We're going to have some individual coaching, but they're doing it together, so you're maximizing the number of responses. And that is the Say It and Move It activity. It's really fun. It's simple to do. Tough for the kids in the beginning, but gives them skills that they need for reading, and also lots of practice with their maximal contrast pairs. And I'd like to invite you to check out my page at Teachers Pay Teachers. It's Clarity, Clarity, SLP. I have a number of sets of maximal contrast pairs there with games to be played and some other background information. And if there's a pair that you need that you don't see there, I am working on more, and I'd be happy to make what you need if you just let me know what contrast you're wanting to work on. So again, that's Clarity SLP at Teachers Pay Teachers, or join me at one of my workshops through BER. You can check that out at BER.org, the Bureau of Education and Research, and you can search by my name, Terry Farnham. Love to see you at one of my workshops. Have a great day.